Hi, good afternoon. Thank you girls for being here today with us at the Palazzo San Niccolo for the first episode of STEVE MADDEN Italy's Urban Canvas series, which focuses on how cityscapes and urban landscapes reflect art and fashion and the intersection between the two. We're your hosts, Sofia and Nicole from the Wait and Hope Foundation, and we're here with Anna and Elisa, who are fashion specialists, and Rhizome, who's an artist. Why don't you guys tell us a little bit about yourselves, how long you've been in your industry for, and what brought you here today?
Sure, so I've been an artist, I think, since forever. It's very hard when you follow your mission to kind of recognize the moment where you decided this is your path. I believe I've been an artist since forever, and but let's say my formal education was in Academy of Fine Arts in Milan, in Brera, where I have studied painting. And after that, I have also started taking interest into decentralization and the Web3. So let's say my art has also taken, the part of my artistic practice has also taken into the digital art and using data in art. And yeah, so a lot of years. Yeah.
First of all, thank you so much for having me today. So I'm a fashion buyer since 1 year now, and I've worked at Le Printemps, which is a department store based in Paris. We just opened a beautiful store in New York. And let's say I've always dreamed about being a buyer and working in fashion in general, because it has always been my passion. And because of that, I graduated at Istituto Marangoni here in Florence. And then I started working at Numa. So I just started my journey, but I'm really excited.
Thanks. Hi everyone, thank you for the opportunity to join this project. I'm Anna, and I've been working in fashion industry for the past 7 years as a wholesale buyer and stylist. And then I got so into fashion that I started sharing my journey on my blog on Instagram, and then attending Milano Fashion Week, Paris Fashion Week, and also in Amsterdam. And yeah, this industry became the part of my daily life.
So. Amazing, thank you so much. So first of all, we want to thank again Steve Madden for having us here and creating this environment where we can talk about these really interesting things with these amazing girls. So I wanted to ask you, as we know, the intersection of art and fashion has always been very prominent. Art influences fashion, fashion influences art. It's kind of hard to differentiate one from the other. But I did want to ask, since you girls are the next generation of artists and fashionistas, how do you think digitalization and these new trends are going to define our generation in the arts? If maybe if you would like to start.
Yes, yeah. So what I think is, as you said, it's very hard to differentiate between the art and fashion, and we can see throughout the history also artists collaborating with brands, with stylists. Stylists are being inspired by art, artists are being inspired by fashion, and I think it's a mutual conversation that went through the history, and I think will continue to go. And the way that digitalization can influence both, I think we can also see it in aesthetic, and also I think it will just bring a lot of commodity and accessibility to both. It will change a little bit how we approach both worlds. Now everything is more accessible. We can also get inspired more easily, and I just think it will bring the worlds together even closer.
Yeah, I feel you touched a great point, because let's say our generation is always overstimulated by everything we see on social media, but also on advertising campaigns. So I feel like we should really try to go back to the roots of what art and fashion had this intersection. I was thinking of Schiaparelli when he collaborated with the Surrealism and all of his movement, which was really, really powerful. And I feel this is something that maybe it's also missing today, because of course now with the aesthetic, with all the trends ongoing, of course fashion is very inspired by art. But then I think we should get back to the roots and really start creating powerful messages through art in fashion.
I think both fashion and art have been always reflect the situation, cultural, in artistic way, and something like this, and the digital way of realization of both these spheres help us to feel this changeable world like more vivid in real time.
I really like what you said about how we're trying to convey powerful messages through both art and fashion. And I wanted to mention that as we know, STEVE MADDEN is focused on promoting individuality and authenticity and self-expression always. It's had a strong history of that. And I wanted to know from you guys if you have found yourself any inspiration to staying true to yourself in the same way that STEVE MADDEN as a brand has embraced its authenticity. Elisa, would you like to take it away?
Thank you. I think for myself, what's really important is to stick to my passions. So I'm really a driven person, and I'm really passionate about what I do always. So that's really what's important for me. And then, of course, I was born in Florence. I always lived in Florence. So I have this beautiful environment surrounding me every day with art and inspiration from everywhere. But of course, with my work, for example, traveling a lot and visiting beautiful cities for fashion weeks, for example, New York, London, Paris, Milano, I feel like I always try to grab something from each place I go, even for work or also for pleasure. And that's what, let's say, makes me feel more rich inside and makes me also discover more about myself. So that's something that truly empowers me as a person, as a woman, and I feel that's really the important thing for me.
Yeah, thank you. That was a beautiful answer.
Thank you.
And I wanted to also touch on the fact that you mentioned all of these different cities, and actually the five of us who are here today, we're all international. We come from different countries, and I think it's beautiful that we can come here together and talk about something that we share. And back to the brand again, STEVE MADDEN, one of their focuses is that they take a lot of inspiration from different cities, the streets, the urban landscape, the urban canvas. And I wanted to ask, maybe Anna, you can take this one, about how you find inspiration in different cities that you've been in, and a little bit about your background and how the global world has inspired you a bit.
Yeah, I would like to start from that point that I moved to Europe is about 8 years ago, and an absolutely new world opened to me. And I was born in post-Soviet countries, so it has a different aesthetic, and living here is one huge inspiration for me, and every specific city, every countries inspired me so much. And what more important for me, that art and fashion have been always was my own way to find like-minded people. And STEVE MADDEN, I like it so much because it builds really strong community. I met Elisa on previous event, and it's all about community, about communication, the opportunity to express ourselves, and these things I love more about fashion, art, and digital sphere.
Yeah, for sure. I was going to say, I think this is what's going to be defining our generation, this global environment where we are all from different places and meeting together and chatting. And honestly, when I was speaking to you before this podcast started and you guys were like, oh my gosh, we know each other, I was like, oh, no way. It made me really excited to be chatting here with you girls. As you said, community is a very big important factor in the art world and in the fashion world as well.
I wanted to hear Ruby's perspective on your background moving to Florence, and we were speaking a little bit before this, kind of how a lot of us have moved to a new city after we were 18 years old, and it took us a lot of time to adapt to that. And Ruby, I wanted to know also too, how do you stay authentic to yourself in a new city, and how do you get inspired by the people that you find on the streets every day, and how's that connected to your art and your self-expression?
Yes, of course. So what I think is really interesting when you move to a completely new country is the fact that you have the opportunity to rebuild yourself from zero. It's kind of like having a new rebirth. And I mean, from one point, it is really liberating because you have all the freedom once again. But from the other point of view, it's kind of scary because you're completely by yourself in the unknown world. But what I think it allows you is to really build a new community that is not based on where you're from your family, from your maybe childhood influences, but it really starts going more along with your personal mission and why are you here, what do you want to do. And so what immediately happened to me is that I founded immediately a strong art community. And what does the digital world allows us is to find communities that are outside of your city where you're stated, outside like maybe places that you visit. For example, I met so many artists online and so many curators and collectors that have just seen my work and I have seen their work and we talked about it, and then maybe after 1 or 2 years I get to meet them in person. And this is something we didn't have before, and this is something that is really allowing us. That is why I think also the world opened up to travel. I mean, borders are there, but we are really all becoming more and more international. And also because you can see the world through the digital and it's more accessible. It's not out there. It's like right here in your phone. And everything that inspires you is right there in your phone. And I think like we are really going to go beyond our own countries, our own cities, and just open up to the world.
Yeah. And you too as well, how do you find the community here in Florence for the fashionistas as yourself? Do you find that it's a strong knit community, or did it take you a little bit to get involved?
I have to be honest, the community of fashion in Florence is not so well developed. I mean, it's more something very niche, something for people that study here and came here to study fashion or work in fashion. Because, you know, in Florence there are all the beautiful companies that have their establishment here. So, of course, there are many people working in this industry. But I feel like the beauty of fashion is that you really have a strong community all over the world. And you find, I mean, every time I go to Paris, I find someone that I know and I grab a coffee with him, and but then when I came home, I don't see him anymore. So it's kind of that the beautiful thing, that fashion is something that unites everyone for one scope.
Yeah.
So that's the magic of fashion.
Of course. So I wanted to take a second as well to talk to you guys a little bit about the collection that's here today with STEVE MADDEN. So in front of us we have the spring and summer collection and some of STEVE MADDEN's bestsellers, and we wanted to ask one of you to pick a shoe and style it as you would. Nicole, which
Oh, I know. Anna.
yeah.
And I know you were eyeing these earlier. If you could style an outfit with these shoes, what would be your go-to outfit?
Okay.
Here you go.
Actually, I would like to choose this pair as well, because actually I think all of us too tired of chunky shoes of like black colors maybe. But I mean, it's time for summer for sure. And I really like this pair of raffia high heel shoes, especially these crochet flowers. And I would like to style it with maybe some linen dress, minimalistic style, because this is like accent of any minimalistic outfit, I think. Or it also could be just regular pair of jeans and maybe some top in romantic or natural style in neutral color, for example. You can choose wherever you want, like simple, minimalistic, and add this piece of art there to their outfit, and that's it. It works, and you feel like a star, like a celebrity. I think like this.
Amazing, thank you so much. Lisa, I know you are also eyeing these, so
Yes.
I don't know if...
This is more me. This is more Anna. This is more me.
I see it from the outfits too.
Very bold, very eccentric, very strong piece. This is casual. This is casual but chic. Always like you feel like you want to get dressed up, but effortlessly. So you want to add like a strong piece that goes with your outfit and spice it up a little bit. So I will wear this with the flare pants, black regular flare pants that go a little bit over the shoe, like very loose fit. Maybe just a regular t-shirt and a blazer and baseball hat. And go around the city with it.
Amazing.
Like mix a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's something...
Kind of Scandi girl.
Yeah, exactly. That's the vibe. That's the vibe. A little bit.
Yeah, I mean, that's something amazing about Steve Madden is that they have something for everyone. There's so many diverse styles, and they want to represent everyone and let everyone be able to express themselves in how they want. And this kind of wants to lead me to another question: is how you girls got into fashion. I know I know it's a very hard question to ask, but I don't know. Was it something that you always knew as a kid, or like did something in your life move you towards fashion? You're like, this is what I have to do.
So for me, I've always, I don't know how to explain it, but as she was saying before, that she always knew she was an artist. No, it's a little bit the same thing for me. When my mom always tell me, you started to get dressed alone when you were 2 years old. I couldn't choose anymore the clothing for you because you wanted to do your thing. So it's something that I grew up with. It's a passion, and I'm very grateful that I got to work with this passion, and I feel so grateful. So, but it's all something that I grew up with, something that I have inside, you know.
Wow. As for me, it feels like fashion industry chose me, found me. I felt like I'm lost that period of time, and then fashion came into my life. I started working as a wholesale buyer, and I'm just like, wow, I feel like home. Yeah. I finally got it there, and the industry is so huge. There are so many options to express myself, and since that I clearly understood that this is fair where I wanna
it was meant to be.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you, Ruby, I know since you already talked about you being an artist your entire life, kind of wanted to go back to how our generation is evolving with the arts, and I know you have been dabbling in art, kind of a digital artist. Would you like to tell us how you kind of got involved in the digital art scene and experimenting with these different technologies?
Of course. So coming from, let's say, more traditional background of painting, I always had that also very big passion for science and data, but I was always like kind of in my comfort zone. I'm a painter, I know what I'm doing here, I know my path, I know I want to develop in it, and I just have to push there. But at some point I just started learning more and more, and I wanted not to only maybe reinterpret the things that I'm inspired by, but in some way use them. Not only reinterpret them maybe through philosophical questions, which of course is very important and I love doing, but how do I actually use what I'm interested in? And what is really interesting is that digital art can allow you that perfect intersection between what is that you want to explore and how to actually literally use, for example in my case, to use the data to create the artworks. And before that we couldn't do that because it is just like a new medium. Like you have painting, you have sculpture, and then you have through some digital softwares, you have a new medium. And so that is also how I started learning about this decentralization as a perfect fit for digital art. Mm-hmm. But I think also it's getting to be used for a lot of also real life objects. And I think it just allows you, it gives that one layer more for you to work with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, amazing. And I feel like also with both fashion and digital art especially, it's important for either the artist or anyone who's creating certain trends to kind of get a feel for the societal pulse at the time, whether that means getting ahead of it and going your own way and starting something, or tapping into that and really like going into what society has to say at the moment. And I know here, where we are right now with STEVE MADDEN, they're constantly evolving, and I think every season they're coming out with something about the style preferences of what people really want at the moment. And they're very also like, I think, a brand who really tries to promote everyone of every kind of person, whether you have a bunch of tattoos or your hair is blue or whatever it is, to really just embrace yourself. And I think you guys have all very fascinating perspectives on both fashion and art and the intersection between the two. And thank you so much for coming today, guys.
Thank you so much for having us. Yes.
It was really interesting to chat and getting to know each other. And thank you to STEVE MADDEN, of course.
Yeah, of course, for bringing us together,
Yes, STEVE MADDEN and then Numa as well for hosting the space here at Palazzo San Niccolo.
Thank you.
Guys.
Thank you.